I just hit 50,000 miles in my Tesla Model 3 in 2 years. Let's go over some of the costs, pros and cons, and then problems that I've incurred after 2 years of ownership. After that, we'll finish with my takeaway on the Tesla Model 3. Hey you guys, it's Taylor. Welcome back to the channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this. I do these kind of videos all the time, and it's free to subscribe, and you can always unsubscribe later if you so desire. We're gonna first start with costs, and let's start with my electric bill. So first of all, my electric bill is charged differently for the time of day. And during my super off-peak hours, it only costs 9 cents per kilowatt hour during my peak charging time. Let's go more in depth on this. I took my overall electric bill that averages about $213 a month or 1,100 kilowatt hours. Then I subtracted all the junk and only took my super off-peak hours, which is only around 800 kilowatt hour per month. And this is mostly my charging, since this is everything after midnight to 6 a.m. when I charge. On average, my charging costs were around $70 a month to charge my car. But keep in mind, I have another Tesla Model 3 that we also charge. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this cost and turn it into $50 to subtract some of the minor charging that the other car does. So to sum all this up, a year's total of charging would be only $600 at $50 a month to charge this dual motor Model 3. Now that we covered some of the electric bill costs, let's talk about some other costs that I incurred with this car. And the big one is the California registration fee. So for 2019, in my past video, I mentioned that this was $650 a month. Now in 2020, I did a little oopsie, and it turned into $886 because we were late on the registration. But we're gonna assume that most people aren't gonna be late. So for the costs in this video, we're gonna say that it's $650 for both years. Next, we're gonna talk about supercharging, and I supercharge a ton. And I travel a lot to make some videos like this, but because of you guys and the referral program, all my supercharging has been free, which is completely awesome. And I thank you guys so much for that. Don't forget to use anybody's referral code to get 1,000 miles. Mine is down below if you want to use that. Next, we're going to talk about service/maintenance. The only two that I actually had to pay for were my AC filter, which was $140, and then I had to pay for tires each year, and that was $1,000 each. Another cost that I want to mention is I had to pay for a NEMA 1450 outlet in my house, and this was $450 to install. I did not have to pay for any type of cable or anything like that. This is just the plug in the wall because the Model 3 comes with the charger that you need for the house. So those were all my costs. Those were all the things I actually had to pay for. Let's go over all of them together. So combining this year and last year's costs, it came out to be around $5,230 to get to 50,000 miles in 2 years, which is absolutely amazing, you guys. I'm going to give you some more stats later, so stay tuned. We also had an $800 electric bill credit for purchasing an EV, so we can actually reduce this bill to be only $4,400. So my car was around $4,400 to run for the last 2 years because of that credit. Here's a fun fact. The average American spends about $3,000 on gas alone each year. If we had a similar car that was a gas car, this would be about $9,300 to get to 50,000 miles. This also includes our registration, tires, but no other maintenance. So think about brakes and all that other kind of stuff that we'd have to pay for with a gas car. So $9,300 is a very generous estimate for a similar type of gas car. I just want to throw that out there for you guys because that amazed me when I ran those numbers. So we covered some of the costs that I went through in my Tesla Model 3 after 2 years. Let's go over some of the pros and cons of owning a car like this. So the first one is my car updates. These updates allow the software to get better and better over the years. So the car is actually better software-wise than when I first got it. For example, my car has a 10% power increase over the last 2 years, which is awesome, and I didn't have to pay a dime for that. It was just given to me by an over-the-air update. Another pro that I love is that EVs are great for the environment, and we're just going to compare charging and gas pumping right here, but EVs are about 60% more efficient than pumping gas. Another thing that I love about the Model 3 is that it's very fun. And they're very easy to modify. There's cool events that go on, and just everywhere, the scene around these cars are just awesome. Like the people you can even meet at a supercharger while you're sitting there for that amount of time is just great. Another pro is that they're relatively inexpensive after purchasing, of course, because you can see by the numbers I gave you here, you pretty much just pay for tires and then some registration fees, and that's just about it. Another thing I love about them is they look great. Personally, for me, I like mine modified because I don't like the look of them stock so much. So just some minor modifications makes the world of a difference to me. I went a little bit crazy over the last 2 years, but just some quick modifications. It really makes this car look like how you want it to look. Another thing that I really love about this car is that it's always recording. And by the combination of Sentry mode while you're parked to the dash cam when you're driving, you are being watched 360 degrees. So if anything happens around your car, it's being recorded. And it's all set up through a USB that you can take out and put on your phone or put on your computer really, really fast and easy. It's one of my favorite things. In fact, with a new update, Tesla made it so where you can check out your Sentry mode and dash cam footage on the screen. So now if anything happens, I can quickly just record it with my phone as I scrub through the footage, so I can quickly get it to my phone as soon as possible. And I've definitely needed to use that. Another thing is that you can sleep in the car very safely. And what I mean by that is you can roll up the windows and turn on camping mode. I also like the fact that you can put a bed back there. So while you're doing all this, you can actually be comfortable sleeping in your car, which is absolutely amazing. And by all the traveling that I've done over the last 2 years, you'd be amazed by how much savings I've had in hotel costs alone. Another great thing is that the app can control the car from anywhere in the world. So if you want to push a software update, but you're not by the car, you can actually get the car to update. Or if someone needs to get into your car and you're not around, you can unlock the car from any location in the world. All right, rocking on over to the final pros here. The biggest thing for me is that supercharging is actually account wide. So my other Model 3 that I have benefits off the referrals that I get, and it's not just all directed to one car for free supercharging. Now, to continue with that for the final pro, Tesla offers these random specials. So for our standard range that we actually have a year free supercharging. Fun fact, we didn't even know we got it when we purchased the car, but they were doing a special offer at the time. So we won't even need to use those supercharging miles on that car for a whole nother year. But the joy is when that year is up, the supercharging is account wide. Okay, so that was a lot of good stuff that we covered, but there's actually quite a bit of cons that I want to cover. And then after we cover these cons, we're going to talk about some of the problems to continue on with this. One of the cons that I ran into was they have bad charging estimates, and this is mostly for supercharging. So the worst time estimate that I noticed is actually through the 90% to 100% range when supercharging, and it will say like 15 or 5 minutes left, and it'll really be much, much longer. So just account for that if you have to supercharge, mostly up to 100%. All right, the next con is actually a really big one, and I feel like it's not talked about enough, but this car is actually very expensive to repair. And I mean this in both ways. When you get out of your warranty, those kind of repairs, and if you get into a collision or something like that, both the whole spectrum of repairs for this car is actually insanely expensive. And some of these installations, like one of my things that I had done for free under warranty, would actually be around $250. And this was to install a little cable about 1.5 feet long. And the whole replacement process and labor actually came out to be about $250 for something very small like that. The other side of this all is when you get in a minor collision or something like that, it's not minor to your wallet. And I've noticed that people with little bits of fender damage or maybe a door needs to be replaced can be like up to $10,000 for something small, for like one panel like that. It's crazy. Be sure to have good insurance with this car. You won't regret it. The final con I want to talk about is a bit of a personal one, but maybe others can relate, and it's about the white seats. These seats stain a little bit more than I expected. Now, I wear all different types of clothes, and I don't dress for my seats. I wear whatever I want. But when I bought the car, I was actually sold to get the white seats because they were so durable and indestructible. And I've noticed that Tesla kind of changed their ways about that, where they said they would replace them if they got stained or messed it up. So I'm stuck with slight staining on my seats. Now, the best way to fix that for you guys is to clean your seats more often and maybe wear stuff for your seats. I did not clean my seats too often, and when I do now, there's still leftover residue and they're stained a little bit, which is kind of a bummer. But it's practically unnoticeable when you clean it really well. I just want to throw that out there. So clean your seats very often if you get the white interior. So we covered the cons. I want to go a little bit more in depth and talk about problems with the car, because I think this is very important and a lot of people try and hide some of the issues they have. I've had a lot of problems with this car, but keep in mind, I would buy this car again knowing I had these problems and knowing the warranty that stands behind it. So first of all, let's just talk about that. We talked about the costs and things that I actually had to pay for. So all these problems I actually didn't have to pay for. But when we break past 50,000 miles, which is pretty much now, there are a couple of problems that I want to talk about, and I wonder how expensive these are going to be. Also, I want to say that I have a video on all the problems I've had with this car, so I invite you guys to check that out. I'm going to put a little card here so you can click on it, but I'm just going to quickly brush over some of these. So I've had a lot of problems with this car, including random warning lights. The window motor had to be replaced, and some moisture in my tail lights. I had some other warnings that was a passenger safety restraint fault, which kind of worried me because it was about the passenger seat and its safety equipment. So luckily I was quickly able to talk to my service guy, and he said it's not going to be an issue. You can continue to drive. It's just a fault. All the safety things will work properly. But there are some weird, interesting things, and I think I've had over 15 problems. So I invite you guys to check out that video if you're curious on all of them. Keep in mind, they're all minor, to me at least, but there's still a lot of them. We're at just about 50,000 miles, and I actually have two ongoing problems that I'm a bit concerned about. It's another restraint system fault. This is not the passenger, it just says restraint system fault. And now the door cover has fallen off of the car. So we have to find a replacement for that. And it just fell off randomly too. And we have to find the fix for the restraint system fault before the warranty comes up for this car, because these are issues that I didn't cause and I don't want to pay for them. It's just, I don't know, quality or something. So that's kind of a big issue for me coming up, and it gets me a little bit worried about what the next stage after 50,000 miles is going to have in it. That kind of sums up my 50,000 miles or 2 years of ownership. I hope you'd enjoyed that section. Let me cover my final takeaway on this car, mostly for new owners, just to give you some information and my experiences that I've learned over the years of ownership. So my final takeaway for new or considering owners is the following. You should learn to keep your battery healthy, and you should know how to keep charging costs down by using things like super off-peak hours or finding cheap times to charge at. Also, you can charge at your work possibly, and that's a free, and I know a lot of people do that, and that's just a benefit for owning an EV and going to a work that, lets you do it. Another thing is I'd really recommend you guys to at least get a referral when you purchase the car. If you use someone's referral code, you get 1,000 miles free. Now, I don't care whose referral code you use. I think it's just so important that you do use someone's referral code for that 1,000 free miles, but mine is down below if you want to use it. And then the next thing is get in touch with the community, you guys. There are crazy events. There's awesome people. Pretty much my top 10 friends list is all Tesla owners. And man, I love them to death. And we're all so close to each other, and we all connect at the same time during some events, and it's just the best time. The next thing I want to cover is to just expect supercharging delays. Now, whether this is a full supercharger or slow supercharger, just be prepared when you are leaving for something like an event or something you have to be there on time for. Just be prepared and charge accordingly. This is one of my favorite ones because I feel like people baby this car too much, but get out there and drive the thing. You saw my costs after 2 years of hard 50,000 miles on the car, and it's still super cheap, even though I go through tires every 25,000 miles or whatever. You guys, I'm telling you, just go out and drive the thing. You will love it. You won't regret it. It won't cost you anything practically. So just go out there. My next thing is use different apps that give you more data. Now, there are certain ones that get API access to your car. So when you log into your Tesla account using this third-party app, whether it's on the computer or the phone, you can actually get more data and get tracking data. So I know some apps will track your location and track your energy usage. And this is really important because you can also track degradation with this, and you can see how your battery health is doing and see if you need to pick up some new charging habits or driving habits, etc. With my apps that I have, I use the Stats app. I definitely figured out that I could actually reach a better efficiency when driving, and I can probably get more range like what I said above. And the final thing is one of my favorites. If you guys don't like something about the car, just modify the car to change it. So for example, I really didn't like the chrome. I really didn't like the alloy colored wheels. And that is the biggest game changer look for me. All I did was did a chrome delete and powder coated those same wheels. Now I got new wheels, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, you could just powder coat things and totally change the look of the car. And you can have this dark, stealthy look that I really love at a very low cost. Even better, the new Model 3s come with a blacked out look. And they come out with darker wheels, so you probably won't even have to do this. All right, you guys, that sums up my 50,000 miles or 2 years in my dual motor Tesla Model 3. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Please feel free to comment anything down below, any questions. Myself or someone else with similar experience will be happy to answer for you. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Join the fun, join the channel, everybody. I'll see you later. Thank you so much.